He had only $1 left, and he gave it away. That single act, one choice made from kindness instead of fear, changed his destiny forever. This is the story of Tom Walker, a poor American farmer who went from hunger to $1 million miracle and met an old man no one else ever saw again. Tom Walker wasn't born rich, but once his small pumpkin farm had been full of life, sunlight, laughter, and hope. Then came the drought. Then came the debts. The bank took his machines, his wife left for the city, and the people who used to greet him now crossed the street to avoid him. Tom was left with a dying farm, a worn-out truck, and $1 single. The last piece of paper standing between him and nothing. That afternoon, he walked to the town market, his boots heavy with dust and despair. He planned to buy 1 loaf of bread. Nothing more, nothing less. Outside the market, under a flickering street lamp, sat an old beggar wrapped in torn clothes. His beard was silver, his eyes bright like a secret no one could see. As Tumpa said, the man lifted a trembling hand and whispered, "Son, could you spare $1?" Tom froze. That was all he had. $1, 1 meal, 1 day of survival. But when he looked at the old man, the hunger, the cold, the loneliness, he saw himself. He took the $1 from his pocket and placed it in the beggar's hand. The old man smiled faintly and said, "Fortune follows the kind. Tomorrow, buy yourself a lottery ticket." Tom laughed softly. "Lottery? I can't even buy dinner." But the beggar only nodded and whispered again, "You can't afford not to." Tom turned away, shaking his head, unaware that destiny had just changed course. Scene 3, the harvest the next morning. Tom harvested his last pumpkin crop, bright orange, heavy with hope, his final chance at survival. He sold them at the market and made $50. That's when the beggar's words echoed in his mind, "Buy yourself a lottery ticket." He stared at the money. $50 could buy food, fix the roof, pay the smallest part of his debt, but something inside, maybe faith, maybe madness, told him to take the risk. He walked into the gas station, looked the clerk in the eye, and said, "Give me 1 lottery ticket, the $50 one." The clerk frowned. "You sure, Tom? That's a lot for a man who's struggling." Tom smiled. "It's only money." He slipped the ticket into his jacket pocket and went home. That night, he stared at the ticket under the candlelight, a thin slip of paper that somehow felt heavier than his entire life. Scene for the miracle. 3 days later, Tom walked into town for his morning newspaper. He barely noticed the small crowd outside the shop until he saw people pointing at the front page. The headline read, "Local farmer wins $1 million lottery jackpot." Tom's hands trembled as he checked the numbers. Every digit matched. Every one. The same farmer who had just $1 who gave it away was now a millionaire. For a long moment, he couldn't breathe. The crowd cheered. Reporters arrived. People he hadn't seen in years suddenly remembered his name. But through all the noise, Tom heard only one voice echoing in his mind. "Fortune follows the kind." Scene 5, the search that evening. Tom returned to the market to the same flickering lampposts, the same cold bench, but the old beggar was gone. Asked around the shopkeeper, the milkman, the post office. Nobody had ever seen such a man. Some said Tom had imagined it. Others whispered the beggar was an angel. But Tom knew better. He had seen those eyes. Calm, eternal, unafraid. He sat down on the same bench, looked at the stars, and whispered, "Thank you, whoever you are." A soft wind brushed his face, and for a second, he could almost hear that same gentle voice. "You can't afford not to." Scene 6. The meaning months passed. Tom rebuilt his farm, paid off his debts, and helped his neighbors. But instead of buying cars or mansions, he opened a small food shelter called the Last Dollar Foundation. Anyone hungry could walk in and eat. No questions, no judgment. When people asked why he did it, Tom would smile and say, "Because a man once showed me that a single dollar can change a life." They called it the miracle of the last dollar. Some said it was luck. Others said it was divine. But Tom believed something else. Money is a game of numbers. Kindness is a law of nature. And sometimes, when you give the world your last dollar, it gives you everything back. Ending scene years later, a young journalist asked Tom, "Do you ever regret giving that dollar away?" Tom smiled, his eyes warm with wisdom. "No," he said, "that's when I stopped being poor." He looked at his fields alive, golden, endless, and in the whisper of the wind, he heard it again. Fortune follows the kind.